What does it mean to have a place to call home? The question may seem simple. It likely conjures up feelings of warmth and security, being provided for, but perhaps the better question to ask is, what does it mean to have no place to call home? This is the question that faces all too many of our neighbors.
It's being called the perfect storm. With rising costs, rent has become out of reach for more local families, and though there aren't enough affordable housing units either to help them.
For many in America and around the world, the reasons for housing challenges run the gamut, ranging from wages that don't keep up with inflation, rising property taxes and gentrification, folks falling on hard times like unexpected medical issues that lead to insurmountable financial challenges, or simply growing older, dealing with income constraints and struggling to keep up with required maintenance on a home, leading to its disrepair.
Cost of living grow along with a shortage of affordable housing units. It's two reasons city leaders say renters are willing to stay in a property filled with problems and filth.
For instance, according to a 2021 report from the University of Texas at Austin, 500 homes are demolished every year in San Antonio due to disrepair. And San Antonio has led in the number of demolitions ordered compared to all other Texas cities. Demolitions mean more neighbors without homes. So in 2022, the city piloted a different approach that would rebuild instead of tear down. I'm Camille Hall-Ortega from the H.E. Butt Foundation. This is the Echoes podcast. On today's episode, we welcome our guest, Elizabeth Cruz. Elizabeth is a social worker for San Antonio Affordable Housing, and she's the project manager at the center of their initiative called Project Rebuild, an effort featured in a recent Echoes article. I'm here with my co-host, Marcus Goodyear. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Hi, Marcus.
We're glad to have you. We know we give a little intro up front about your work, but it's very brief. And so we'll want to hear just all about what you're up to in your role over at San Antonio Affordable Housing. What do you do?
I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I am the program manager for Operation Rebuild. And I have the pleasure and honor to work with homeowners to help them restore their homes. For a lot of these homeowners, these were homes that they inherited from their parents or a sibling, or this is the home that they raised their children in. These homes are deemed either dangerous premises or have a demolition order. And to be able to restore that for these homeowners has been just, I can't even put into words, but as I'm saying it, I have goosebumps. So
Yes, I'm sure I can only imagine. What would you say are some of your favorite parts of your job, or what are the wins that you like to celebrate in your job?
I'm thinking about the most recent one that I feel is a homeowner who had lost hope, didn't
Mm.
understand, continues to ask me, why do you care? And can't even fathom the idea that someone would help them. And to get to the point where I just last week said, are you beginning to feel a little more hopeful? And she said, I am now.
That's beautiful.
What do you tell somebody when they say, "Why do you care?" I mean, what's your answer in that situation?
Because that is what I do. I care. I am privileged to work in a profession or have a job that aligns with my personal values. I get to serve. I get to share, and I get to be the hands and feet of Jesus,
Yeah.
and I am a person of faith. So
Yeah.
I care because he cared.
That's so good. I want to give a little bit of context for the listeners. Can you just tell us a little bit more about Operation Rebuild? What does it look like?
So Operation Rebuild is a demolition diversion program, and a lot of homeowners are losing their homes because they can't afford to restore, to rehab their homes. And we were creating a situation for homeowners that cannot afford to fix their homes and have to get a notice to vacate and have to leave their homes. And they end up experiencing homelessness. And we get to restore their home.
Mm.
Hmm.
I think the story that was featured, this homeowner received a notice to vacate, and she left her home and just said she found herself praying that God sent someone to save her home. And I was looking for her, and it took me about 3 months to find her.
This is Olga.
Yes.
Olga
Yeah, Olga
Escobedo. Okay.
Escobedo, who we featured in Echoes. Now, you said it took you a while to find her. Can you say more about that?
When they receive a notice to vacate, then
Mm.
they have to go. So we're working with the Development Services Department to, okay, if you deem it a dangerous premise, put them on our list. Let me find them. Let me help them relocate. I spent a lot of time finding our homeowners, a lot of
Wow.
time.
And what kinds of places did you find them in? Or were they living in apartments or?
Family, no, they can't afford to get an apartment. So with family, friends, some have even ended up in the Haven for Hope, the shelter here in San Antonio.
Wow. And so I imagine that even just that those moments of being able to find them, that's a win, right? That you're reaching out with hope for them.
For sure, for sure, it's a win. And a little interesting story with Olga's
Yeah.
case. I involved the family. A lot of the homeowners are elderly, and I involve the whole family. Who's your support system? Because the support system will benefit from the generational wealth that hopefully we're able to give back, and also it gives that homeowner an opportunity to be successful. And I invited all the kids. Everybody was involved. Well,
Mm.
one of her daughters, um, in Atlanta, she came to visit, and she told her mother, I want to meet this woman.
Mm.
And so we went to our favorite taco place, and she sat across from me with arms crossed. And what's the catch?
Mm.
And I was like, no catch. This truly is a great program. Whatever's paid out in the rehab of the home, she has to just commit to keeping her home for 20 years, enter into a covenant with us. And so her sister said, yeah, mama pays it back with time. And I said, that's exactly right.
Wow.
And now every time the sister comes in from Atlanta, she tells her mother, invite Liz out, let's go get a taco.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love that. People might find it hard to believe that they're reaping these benefits without a catch.
yeah.
How do people qualify for Operation Rebuild?
So there is an income eligibility, and we have to submit all the documents to the city. They get verified, income verified, and they're, whatever they need. I help with documentation. I help them, look, let's go request your award letter. That's so there's a lot of steps. And so I help facilitate that process, make it easier for them. They can't have any liens on their property. And we help with that as well. Yeah, the homeowner that now has a little bit of hope, we had to help her remove a deceased brother from her
Mm.
title. And it was off, and it was just an oversight in the title company where they didn't see the legal paperwork. And then with an attorney, I was like, what do I need to do? And the attorney said, hey, she's the homeowner. And here's the language here. I don't speak legal.
Yes, right, right. Neither do I.
So making connections, that attorney, he's someone that's really invested in the West Side. We want a 20-year commitment. We want to give them a product that will last. 20 years. The buzzword is trauma informed approach, but we also give a trauma informed response when we work with the homeowners. Any contractor that touches our families, we talk to them. We kind of set up an expectation of how we will do this work for this family, getting the links with DSD to help us with some of these fees, and just building the relationship with them. So before you give them a notice to vacate, hey, go out with Liz and let her talk to the families. That way I don't lose track of them.
Right.
And I get to find out where they're going.
That's great. We're talking a lot about Operation Rebuild, but I know folks are going to be interested in what are people facing when it comes to affordable housing. I know, Marcus, you were reading up on some statistics even just lately, right? Just seeing what
Yeah.
is the housing situation look like in San
I
Antonio
mean,
specifically?
the median price of a home in San Antonio is over $300,000 right now, the median price. And rent for a 400 square foot apartment is starting at $650, which $650 a month seems affordable. But for 400 square feet, I think the room I'm in right now is bigger than 400 square feet.
Yeah.
And, if you're trying to get a house, you're looking at potentially thousands of dollars in rent every month. So what are the difficulties that people are facing who can't find affordable housing? It's just not an option for them.
That's the buzzword, affordable housing. You have developers saying, "Oh, we are building affordable houses," and this is my sarcastic voice, but it isn't housed there. It isn't affordable for the community. And as you mentioned, let's say the 650 is the amount. When you're on a fixed income, when all you get is $900 a month, in order to rent an apartment, you have to make, some places expect you to make 3 times the rent. Good affordable housing, say 2 times the rent. Well, 2 times of 650 already puts you over what, $1,300, and they're only getting $900, so they're ineligible. So they can't even afford to get an apartment with their income. So these developments that are going on around San Antonio are still unaffordable, and even though they have affordable in their name. So that's a problem. Right now, I'm working with 4 families that I need help relocating them, and we're going to pay for their temporary lodgings. And I still can't get them in because they still have to meet that 2 times the rent requirement.
What do you wish people knew, specifically San Antonians? What do you wish they knew about housing issues that a lot of people don't know?
If we start with just neighborhoods, and some of the homeowners, they don't wake up saying, "I want my house to just fall apart. I just want it to fall apart." Who says that? No one. They want their homes. They want to take care of the homes. Some of the individuals can't afford some of the repairs. Some of them are too old to take care of their lots, and or have mobility issues. That shouldn't be a reason for you to lose your home. We have lost our humanity in knowing our neighbors, helping our neighbors. Instead of complaining to the city, going to your neighbor and saying, "Hey, is there something I can help you with?" "Oh, I'll pull out the trash for you. I have a grandchild. I'm going to pay my grandchild $20 to go mow your lawn. Is that okay?" Whatever it is, we're just losing our humanity and that sense of neighbors helping neighbors. It's just becoming something of the past.
That's huge, because I think, for people of faith, we know that we're called to help others. Just like you said, be the hands and feet of Jesus. And so we need to be mindful of what that looks like specifically with these challenges, with housing challenges. Now, I'm curious because with Operation Rebuild, you've told us a lot about the process. So how people qualify, and then what the process looks like for while their home is being rebuilt. and kind of what some of the stipulations are for them to be able to have that, enjoy that rebuilt home. But we know that it kind of starts with a home in disrepair that's been identified for demolition, and we know demolition is not cheap. It's expensive, right?
Yes. And homeowners are held responsible for the demolition. They have to pay that fee.
Whoa.
Yes. So it started there, and a councilwoman in D5 decided, hey, there's too many demolitions in this district. We need to do something about it.
So imagine I receive a demolition notice and I have to pay for that. But the reason I'm receiving the demolition notice is that I don't have enough money to take care of my home. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be able to pay for the demolition. So what happens then?
There's a lien on the property.
Oh gosh.
There's so and it really is, it's just so counterproductive. There are other programs prior to receiving a demolition order that you can apply for. The city has a lot of rehab programs, but they receive thousands and thousands of applications, and then you have to narrow it down, and we can only fix 1,000 this year, so that's 2,000 other homes that are not being addressed. And then you talk about accessibility, because these applications have to be filled out and everything uploaded in a computer. Well, what happens to individuals that don't have access to a computer or the internet, or it's like, who doesn't have that? There's a lot of people that still do not have access to a computer or internet, and we have to help facilitate that. But let's talk about other programs, other supports, and really building a relationship with them. Let's see if there's other ways we can help them.
Preventative.
Absolutely. Instead of, preventive instead of reactive. And sometimes it's as simple as helping a homeowner clear out their lot. There's a lot of trash. There's a lot of debris, and a lot of the elderly, sometimes their children, their adult children. Oh, well, we'll take it to mom's house and dad's house, and, and leave things, cars that break down, and things like that. So there's a lot of reasons why things get there's a lot of stories, but getting to the bottom and seeing how we could resolve and bring solutions that don't require the demolition order, and really adding a more injury, re-traumatizing the homeowners.
Amazing. A recent issue of Echoes, we told the story of Olga Escobedo, which we've spoken a little bit about her. We tell the story of what you've mentioned, that unfortunately rings true for many people in San Antonio facing the same issues, which is that she was, elderly. She inherited a home from her parents, and the home began to fall down around her because she couldn't afford the repair and she couldn't do it herself. And so she was facing, her home was facing demolition, and we heard the story of you finding her and letting her know that she was going to be a part of Operation Rebuild.
Well, for me, it truly was an honor working with the family. And I just didn't work with her. I worked with the family.
Yeah.
We had many meetings. I never wanted, when she signed documents, I never wanted her there alone. I wanted her support to be there and witness. I explain things over and over, because if I don't understand legal, and I have a master's degree, I can't imagine some others that, maybe just went to high school and maybe didn't finish, some that didn't finish high school. So explaining the terminology, the legal documents, and what it meant, she was just, I just want my house. She was ready to sign.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I really want you to understand. And I want your children to understand.
It's a commitment.
It is a commitment, and it's ongoing. We go have a taco at least once a month. There's still some things. it's the support that she needs to be successful. The Olga that I started working with is not the Olga that I
Mm.
visit with once a month now. She's just happy in her house. She shows me every time she does something different in her house, and it's just so beautiful to see her in her space and it be a space. And she's on top of everything. Hey, look, that nail looks like it's coming out. That she is on it. I changed the filters. They have to also they have to attend a home maintenance
Mm.
class, and I went with her and her daughter and I, we all took the class. It was very informative. These are things that she may not have done before. Well, let me just go back a little further. Her home never had central air or heat.
It's hard to imagine in South Texas. I know, there may be listeners in other states where that could be commonplace to not have central AC, but it is a must
Necessary.
in South Texas.
While we're rehabbing, they're not allowed to go in. But I would take pictures and I would send them. When I visit with her, I would show her. And she says, "But what is that black thing?" And I said, "Oh, that's your central air and heater." And she goes, "Oh, wow." I would be doing our program a disservice if I didn't share how much we gather everyone that's touching our homeowners' homes into the mix and really falling in love with the family, right? We're working with a
Yeah.
family. We're not working with a property. That was one of the first things I wanted to change, the language. It's not
Mm.
an address. This is a family that lives at this address. That's who we're working with. I
Yeah.
wanted
Beautiful.
to add the humanity to our work.
Yeah.
But the contractor on his own enclosed her back porch because she wanted washer dryer, and she never had. And so they put the fixtures. Oh, we could put the fixtures on the back porch. So he enclosed it for her. He
Uh,
goes, if it were my mother, I wouldn't want her having to deal with the the
the
element.
elements. Yes.
Yeah, and so beautiful. So beautiful,
Beautiful.
so heartwarming. So anytime I see what we're doing for homeowners and serving them in the way, just like we're talking, just talking to them like that. What's going on
Yes.
with you?
Yeah.
What's happening? How can we support you? Again, getting to know who the homeowner is and their history.
And you're getting to experience that every day. And so I can imagine that's just rewarding.
So rewarding. I
Yes.
can't believe I get paid to do.
Well, you have communities of folks that are grateful for the work that you do and your team. And so I think it's beautiful. You talked about experiencing a different Olga now. And I imagine that housing crisis takes a toll emotionally on folks. What
Yeah.
do you see? Tell us more about what you see for folks who are facing housing issues and kind of how you see that progression.
Olga held on to hope. She was a person of faith, so she was like always holding on to hope. However, she just was not comfortable. It wasn't her space. She was in someone else's space. And she was living like that. And you just get, well, bounced from here to here. And so it wasn't her space. Now she's in her home. She's just so empowered. I just look at the pictures. I think the pictures in the Echoes magazine is just it shows
Mm,
her now, just
yeah.
that empowered sense of this is my home. I love working with the families, seeing them go from hopeless to having hope, from not being able to envision to, oh, wow, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. To move in and say, this is your home now. Oh, wow. Just to be so in awe. I remember the first time we walked through Olga's house. Olga was
Hmm.
ecstatic. She was just so
Mhm.
happy. But her daughter was in the back, and you could see the tears running down her face. It's their home. And yes, it's a property identified as a concern in the neighborhood, but there's a family that's there. So how can we support the family, and then rehab their home. So guess what? Now the support we've given that family, they're going to have the ability to sustain and maintain their home after the rehab.
We think of restoring homes and we imagine the before and after picture of the house, which I've seen the before and after picture of Olga's house. But you're talking about the before and after picture of the homeowner, of the person who lives there, and before hope and after hope, and before gratitude and after gratitude. It's really beautiful.
Definitely. And I think about the homeowner that lost hope and is beginning to feel some hope.
Yeah.
Even before we made a determination of whether or not she could participate in the program, she looked at me and said, "Thank you. For the first time, I feel like someone's on my side." It never gets old to hear that, to see that hope, to that just a slight smile. Like, wow, there is somebody does care enough. Still questioning why, but someone does care.
Yeah. So, Elizabeth, there's this thing we do in our podcast where we pull audio from the Foundation archives. Foundation's been around since 1933, and we wanted to share with you a clip that's a little bit more recent than some of the audio clips we share. This is from a recent Laity Lodge retreat. Laity Lodge is our adult Christian retreat center, and the clip we want to play is Alan Jacobs, who is a professor at Wheaton College, and he's talking about repairing a broken world. So I would just like to listen to this and get your take on it.
What I'm always looking for is a way to invite people along with me, Christians and non-Christians alike, to do the work of rebuilding and renewing and restoring a broken world. To repair the broken world, not to discard it, not to condemn it, not to throw it away, but to repair it. And what does that look like? What does that repair look like? And how do we invite other people to participate in that with us?
As you hear that, we're talking about repairing homes. We're talking about bringing hope to people who may have lost hope. What's your response to Alan?
I 100% align with what he just said. Some of the cleanups we organize for the homeowners in preparation for the rehab, helping them pull their valuables out and then helping them discard the things they want to discard. We get together volunteers that help clean up the brush and mow lawns and cut trees and help us do things like that. And I can't do it alone. I am a part-time contract employee, so I absolutely need their community, whatever community they're living in, to support them to be successful in their home. And some of them need ongoing support, changing the battery on the smoke detectors. I ran into a homeowner that said, I have mobility issues. My sister has mobility issues. I can't get up on a ladder to change. I could hear it that it needs to be changed, but I can't change it. So simple little task that the community neighbors, it's what I said earlier, we're losing that where neighbors can check in on each other. I think ministries, outreach ministries, don't just outreach those that are unsheltered, outreach those that might need some additional support, the shut in, the widows. It's biblical, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We should be providing that kind of support. So I'm always looking for volunteers, and anyone that feels touched to volunteer, I am happy to get their support.
I love that. That's exactly the question we would have for you. And for folks who know that the need is there, who have been informed by this time or by just looking at their community around them, what are the next steps that you might recommend? What's one thing?
So I don't expect you to go to people's homes, knock on their door, and just because unfortunately, there are situations where there are mental health issues, and
Sure.
that's a reality, and that's a reality I've encountered. And I'm skilled in helping de-escalate situations. So even when I have volunteers, I'm on I'm there with the volunteers, making sure everything is going the way it's supposed to be going. But getting with outreach ministries that do outreach for the seniors, and there are a lot of programs that help clear, mow lawns, cut grass. Those are necessary. Some of my homeowners have mobility issues. So how do they maintain their property? Those are some of the citations they get. Overgrown grass. A lot of them don't have support. So let's support our community.
Beautiful. I think it's important for us to note that, of course, we're talking a lot about San Antonio and the broader areas, Texas, but housing affordability issues,
Everywhere.
housing challenges, it's everywhere. It's all over our country and all over our world. And so we would say for the folks who are looking to get involved in being a part of the solution, that this is still great advice for them, that there are organizations that are already doing the work, but they need extra hands. And so it's great to know that someone like you, who is boots on the ground in the middle of that help, is suggesting that that's a great way to start getting
Absolutely.
involved.
Even helping get boxes as they move and pack their things. Just there's so many things that when we rehab their home, helping with refurnish it. We are a country where we have extra. Sometimes it's sharing some of what we have. We can't outgive God. So that's
Yeah.
something I've always experienced. And so I really do feel that it's important that we share of our time, and sometimes it's our resources. So,
Right.
if you can't give time, give resources.
I love that. Elizabeth, we're so grateful for your time today with us and for all that you've shared. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank
Yes.
you. Nice meeting you both.
The Echoes podcast is written and produced by Marcus Goodyear, Rob Stennett, and me, Camille Hall-Ortega. It's edited by Rob Stennett and Kim Stone. Our executive producers are Patton, Dodd, and David Rogers. Special thanks to our guest today, Elizabeth Cruz. The Echoes podcast is a production brought to you by the H.E. Butt Foundation. You can learn more about our vision and mission at hebfdn.org.